Hello, I'm Deacon Jimmy Ghiglione.
And I'm Aaron Emig, and we're still in ordinary time. We're celebrating the 29th Sunday. And our thought for this week is, what do you owe God? You owe a lot of people stuff. What about God? This week's gospel comes from Matthew chapter 22.
There was a young lady who was soaking up the sun's rays on the beach when a little boy in his swimming trunks carrying his towel, and he comes up to her and he asks her, "Do you believe in God?" She was a little surprised by the question, but she says, "Well, why, yes, I do." And then he asked her, "Do you go to church every Sunday?" And again, she was a little surprised, but she said, "Yes, I do." And then he asked, "Do you read the Bible and pray every day?" And again, she said yes, but her curiosity was very much aroused, and so she asked the little boy. She looked at him, and he looked up at her, and he sighed, and he says, "Well, that's good. Will you hold my dollar a while I go swimming?" I think that's a great story, because that little boy, he was straightforward, and he was honest in his questions, because he wanted to entrust that lady with something that was very special and very valuable to him. Well, in the gospel reading today, the Pharisees, they're not being honest. They have no intent on entrusting Jesus with anything special for them. They're not looking for an answer to a question, really. They don't want someone to hold their dollar. They're looking for an opportunity, for a way to get rid of this troublemaker that they see named Jesus. And Jesus knows that they're dishonest. He knows what they're up to. And the Pharisees, they were agitated, to say the least, by Jesus' teachings. And they were agitated enough to join forces with who traditionally were kind of their bitter enemies, the following King Herod and the supporters of Rome, in order to try to trap Jesus. And so the question which was asked of Jesus, it would kind of condemn him either way. You know, no matter how he answered. If he said it was unlawful to pay the taxes, well, then they would have, reported him to the Roman officials, and then he'd have been arrested. And if they said that it was lawful to pay the tax, then he would have been discredited by the Jewish people, by the Orthodox Jews who hated Romans and hated the Roman taxation. So what does Jesus do? It's very cool. He looks at these guys, and he recognizes their trickery, and he recognizes the danger of the question and how it's going to turn back on him. So he turns it back on them. And in essence, he says, in a sense, this has nothing to do with me. Give back to the person whose picture's on the coin. But maybe you should remember what also is due to God. Give back to God. And could he not be saying, your question's dishonest? You're concerned with your own interests. You don't care to hear about my message of love and unity and solidarity. You're not interested in other people. So he's kind of like, I turn the question back on you. What do you owe Caesar? Well, give it to him. What do you owe God? Isn't that a question that maybe could be directed at all of us as well? Yeah. What do we owe God?
Yeah, that's a very great insight there, Deacon Jimmy. And I love how those Pharisees, try to test Jesus. It's like, I don't get that, because he's all knowing anyway. Who are they trying to trick? Basically what they're teaching, many of us have those human possessions around here that they think is valuable or belong to us or belong to others. But in reality, nothing really belongs to us, because everything belongs to God. Because if there's no God, then there's no Caesar, and there's really none of us here on earth without God. So think about this. Do you know anyone that has taken any worldly possessions that they had here in their time here in life and took that away from them when they passed away? Do you know anyone like that?
Well, even if you put it in a box, you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
As Catholics, we know that both God and Caesar, the world, if you will, has claims on us and demands on us. And if we find our government or the world kind of leading us from the teaching of God, we're still bound to follow God and God's law. And from the day that God set up the Garden of Eden and put us in it, He's always been consistent. He's always let us decide. He doesn't force us. But our decisions have always made us who we are, or maybe who we're not. And we have the freedom to choose. And it's not a complicated choice. Sometimes it seems complicated. But whatever we choose, we know that we have to put God first. We can't live as one who chooses in the worldly world and then on Sunday only we submit to the godly world. We're not good Christians just on Sunday. We're not good disciples just on Sunday. It's not what the Christian life is all about. It means that we do give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but that we constantly remind ourselves that the Caesars right now can never trample on our love for God and the dignity of His holy people. Amen.
Amen to that. Yeah, we just need to become, great stewards or better stewards of all our time, energy, and money that God has actually given us to use here on earth. We're all given those unique talents that God's given us. We're all wired differently, but first we need to learn those talents, and then we need to learn more about them, and then the whole objective is to share all those along with others, along with your time and treasure. But call me crazy, Deacon Jimmy, but I think we have a ministry here called Living Your Strengths.
I think we do.
That does all that. I mean, who doesn't want to do things that they're naturally excellent at during every given moment of their day? So I recommend for a tool for registering for this ministry today. Not tomorrow, today.
Today. Our wisdom words of the week are, in the twilight of life, God will not judge us on our earthly possessions and human successes, but rather He will judge us on how much we have loved. That was from St. John of the Cross.
And our transformation tool, once again, is the 7 Pillars of Catholic Spirituality CD by Matthew Kelly. And basically he goes over these these pillars that, like I'd say, will hold up our church, from the foundation of that rock that, Peter helped build. And so basically it just gives you stuff to do throughout the week, to become that dynamic Catholic out there, not a passive Catholic out there. So we are giving out those free CDs every Tuesday at Morris Hall at 2:10.
What time?
2:10 Tuesdays at Morris Hall. And our Transformation Tuesdays prayer. Jesus, how do you want me to transform my life today?
As always, we thank our Saints Peter and Paul choir and music ministry for the vocals and music that you hear during Transformation Tuesday programming. And also, God bless you all from Saints Peter and Paul Catholic Church, a spiritual home for everyone, where every day we are striving to be, grow, and make disciples.